You won't laugh. You won't laugh. Okay. I want to give you political comedy. Political comedy. And the comedian is no other person but this man here, Daniel Bwala, former spokesperson of the PDP Atiku Abubakar Presidential Campaign Council, now speaking for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Kai, watch this interview I won't play for you. This video I won't play for you. You will know that true, integrity is far from Nigerian politicians. They can take a spin at any time. No apologies. They were firing this guy questions with waiting him talk before and waiting him they talk now. The way where him take the answer the question, you will see a man that clearly wants to paint the lie that he's telling now to overshadow the truth that he spoke then. When I remember say, this government been tell us, and people who they defend this government now they tell us, it's not Tinubu that remove fuel subsidy. Oh, Buhari remove fuel subsidy. Say not Buhari remove fuel subsidy. Inside this video now, where I want play for one, this comedy where I want give one. When I go see where Daniel Bwala confirm him, say that Tinubu tell him, say that him come off fuel subsidy, and this now why he come out fuel subsidy. When I go also inside that video, when I go hear the confirmation, because he get one launching where they go, where Tinubu go, they launch one book like that for Buhari, working with Buhari. Then go that launching. Tinubu for that launch he talks say, Buhari did his best as president, did everything he was supposed to do. Yes, he did everything, judging the circumstances surrounding his coming as president then. So he did everything that he was supposed to do. He performed excellently well. For this video, I won't play for Nana. When I go here and say, Daniel Bwala, the talona. Say, the Tinubu will talk this and say, Buhari perform wonderfully well. Tell him. Say, look, I came into power with 0 naira. Nothing was in the coffers. I just enter. Empty purse. Nothing. The same way I say, he did perfect. They loot everywhere, nothing remained. That video now, you go confirm it for one. So that when I go understand these people very, very well. If you I don't talk too much. Are you ready to laugh? I give you Daniel Bwala. Sit tight. Watch this video. Enjoy yourself. Then come to the comment section and tell me what you feel like. Whether Daniel Bwala is good to go, or you are clearly seeing a man speaking from both sides of his mouth. Anywhere belly face. I give you Daniel Bwala. Laugh.
Okay, but I'm going to quote you because not very long ago you also shared your thoughts on the current administration. You know, on interviews you've had with sister television stations, and you criticized the removal of subsidy and the way and manner with which it was done. You of course mentioned that we've meant to be saving trillions of naira every month, but we haven't seen it in infrastructure, we haven't seen it in healthcare, we haven't seen it in increment of salaries or anything like that. And a few other things that you shared. So did that change between December and now?
So it's a valid point you raised, that I have been criticizing that, as a matter of fact, from when the subsidy was removed. I've been consistent on that, and I've been critical of it every day, but up till about 2-3 weeks ago. But when I met with the president about a week or two, I sat across the table with the president, and without asking him, he just felt within himself that he needed to address some of the things that I have been vocal about, because he told me he's been following my interviews. And then with respect to the subsidy, he provided a context, and he told me after he won the election that the administration that he took over from, not that he was going to criticize them, but that for whatever reason did not leave out money for him to run the government. And that if you're confronted by that kind of situation, there are only two options that you have to take. One is either magically or miraculously you have to have money to solve the problems if you want to keep the subsidy, or two, you will have to remove the subsidy so you can make savings to deal with problems. He said either of the decisions, none is easy. And since you cannot keep asking for loan because you can't guarantee that everybody will be giving you loan, and then sometimes asking for loan consistently can also affect the future of the generations yet unborn, he chose that path, which is the removal of the subsidy. He said he knew that that decision was going to be unpopular. He knew the decision would cause backlash, but that when as a leader you're confronted with two choices in life, what will define whether or not you're a true leader is the courage, and that he chose the path of removing the subsidy. Now, having removed the subsidy, what next is the savings which I've been talking about, right? So monthly we save money from the subsidy that ought to have been paid. Now, what are we doing with it? There are a number of things he has done. For example, the money he has given to the governors for the purpose of providing palliatives in their respective states. He gave 222 billion, but the intention was to give 5 billion. You remember also, I was critical of the fact that you are not so, in my view, you could not have given it to the governors, because nothing you run with governors that works in Nigeria historically, that you would have used the third party. But in any case, he gave it to the governors, and some governors who kept to their words were able to provide the palliatives. Then, of course, he now increased the wage, for workers in Nigeria. And then during December, he also provided some subsidy for people traveling for festive season. And now, the very ministry that ought to pilot this intervention is now found in a problem, which is the humanitarian ministry. The difference between Tinubu and the previous government is that the previous government would have probably covered, because we once had that same scandal with the ministry.
Yeah, but
Tinubu decided that no, it affects the public, so he decided to suspend the lady.
No, but the previous government, Mr. Bwala, Mr. Bwala, kindly hold on. According to you and what you've said repeatedly, the previous government cannot be a standard with which we rate, the next government. The previous government, would not be what we used to decide whether this one did better or not. Suspending a minister who is accused of theft is like, and of course praising that move is celebrating a fish for swimming. You should suspend the minister. There's nothing to celebrate about that. And the fact that the previous government wouldn't have done it is not enough for us to give this one Olympic gold medal for doing it. And all of this, why I'm saying this is because I want to be clear on what your standard of leadership is. What is the standard with which you want Nigeria to be led by? Because you, I remember also, mentioned that former President Olusegun Obasanjo was the only person that showed leadership because he visited disaster victims and disaster sites. I'm quoting you now. You said that he was one Nigerian leader that showed leadership in the best possible term. President Tinubu has not shown that leadership. So I don't know if it's also one of the things that you spoke with him about when you met him. Did he explain to you why he has not shown that leadership?
You see, the problem with what you have just said is that what you have in the head and what you are asking are two different things.
Help me.
And then you conjure words. Can I finish? You conjure words to make conclusion of what never existed and what I never said. Nobody talk about celebration. Nobody talk about gold medal. Nobody talked about leaving excuses. So, but you already had it in your head that you want to say. You see, that's the problem.
You didn't talk about gold medal, obviously, but I said it. I didn't say that you said to give a gold medal.
The problem we have in Nigeria is for clickbaiting. A lot of very fine and intelligent journalists, they veer off the road. You ask a question about what I criticized before and whether there is a marked difference. While I was explaining, you cut me off and took me to a different subject.
Yeah, because once again, to be sure exactly what your standards of leadership are. But go ahead. So help us understand, this part.
So now I want to know exactly what is the question, so that when I'm answering, you don't interrupt me.
Okay. So once again, the question is, the things that you've initially criticized in the past, the standard of leadership, and of course, this started with you saying that we should commend the president for suspending Better Edu. I remember that's what you said. And I'm saying that there's nothing to celebrate there. There's nothing that should be commended there, because that's what is expected from a president who is, supposedly doing the right thing. Nobody uses the Bwala administration as the standard with which we rate performance. So I don't know if you agree with that. Should we celebrate?
No,
should we commend the president?
It's not a question, it's a point. I want to know What is the question? You want to.
So I think the question is asking
what is your standard of leadership? What is your standard with which you show leadership or you rate leadership? And I had to remind you of what you've said about former President Olusegun Obasanjo before, of course, what we are currently dealing with today.
So the answer for standard for showing leadership is that you must at all times be seen to be proactive. You must at all times be seen to be on the job. In the case of the humanitarian ministry, in the previous administration, she would have been covered because the administration will need to be protected against backlash. The leadership that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has provided is that he refused to toe on that path. Whether you praise him or commend him or not, it's none of his. He doesn't need it. He's not particularly looking for your commendation. He wants to fulfill the mandate of his office. And to me, it is commendable, if not to you, but to me, that he departed from the norm and he decided to suspend her and cause an investigation to be done. In case you don't know, the money that is allegedly said to have been stolen, if these monies were deployed to the vulnerable of the society, it will have made the difference, which will not, of course, bother you because it's not important to you. Now, then, with the point I have said before, this is one of the problems I've been criticizing. So when he did that, I told him this is commendable and I'm quite appreciative. And he now told me that this is just the beginning because there are many more reforms that will come in that light. So it's not about grandstanding. This is about point and point. If you have any point on an issue that you feel he hasn't done well and whether I'm defending that, I'll be happy to address it. If you have a point about what I said about him yesterday and then whether my departure is because there is a significant change, I'll be happy to answer it. But when you ask question, let the person answer. Don't ask question and make a point. There's a difference between asking a question and making a point. You have a right to use either of those, but don't confuse them in order to get this what they call the clickbait or whatever.
For centuries, the Ijele has been a revered masquerade in Igboland, a predominant tribe in southern Nigeria. The Ijele is a grand spectacle that commands respect, awe, and celebration. Today, Innocent Vehicles brings you the Ijele in a new form. A majestic, robust, and monolithic pickup truck designed to leave an indelible mark in the annals of automotive history. The Innocent Ijele is equipped with a powerful 3.0L turbo engine and 4WD to conquer any terrain with ease. Make way for the Innocent Ijele, Innocent Vehicle, the pride of African roads.